Okay guys, I wanted to create a brief tutorial on your week 6 assignment for IT 210. I posted the rubric that I'm going to use and the actual assignment to the main forum under this title, week number 6 assignment. So if you guys open that up, you'll see the rubric and the instructions for it down below. I just want to quickly go over what's contained in the rubric, and then I'll kind of give you guys some direction on how to complete this assignment. This assignment's worth 90 points of your grade, so definitely invest some time in this because this is a big part of your grade. This 90 points is divided up basically among the 4 major submodules of the currency conversion program. The first one, as you guys are well aware, and these are the 4 main submodules that are listed in your hierarchy chart and flow charts also. The first module is your display menu. I need to see test cases for the display menu module. The next module is the get integer module, and I need to see test cases for that. The third module is convert currency, and the fourth module is display results. And these are these are worth 80 points. The extra 10 points is what's called an integration test, and an integration test basically tests the entire program, which means you're testing the main module. So here's the 4 submodules, and here you need to test the main module. Okay, if we look at the instructions down here, the instructions are pretty brief. It just wants you to generate a set of test inputs and expected results from those test inputs for the currency conversion program. So what does this need to look like? Well, if you pull up, well, I kind of created a sample submission here, and this is basically all I need to see. I need you to list out the 4 different submodules, right? And then within each of these, okay, I need tests. Okay. What do these tests need to look like? They need to look like this. Okay. You need to kind of give it a test case, right? So test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, however many test cases you need in order to test that particular module. And I'm going to be showing you here in a second how to kind of figure out what you need to test within each one of these modules. But just to kind of give you guys an example, for the display menu module, a good test case would be to select Canadian dollars from the menu, right? So, and the label of this test is called valid menu selection, right? Because Canadian dollars is a valid menu selection. There's also, you guys need invalid tests, right? And so for invalid tests, you're going to be kind of testing the out of bounds input conditions. Okay, so let's just take a look at this test case. Valid menu selection is equal to Canadian dollars. So what's the input for that, right? You need inputs and you need expected outputs. Here's your input, here's your expected output. Well, the input for the valid menu selection here is you are setting the menu selection equal to 1, right? Because when you display this menu, you're basically listing out, which menu item do you want to select? Do you want to select number 1, Canadian, number 2, French, whatever, however it is that your pseudocode has listed all these different currencies. You have the ability for the user to input which currency they want. Here they're assuming you do so via a numeric value. You guys may have used strings, but I'm pretty sure that most of you use numeric values here. So once you input menu selection 1, what is the expected output at that point? Well, okay, so how do we figure that out? The best way to kind of figure out what these test cases are going to do is to pull up your Appendix I flowcharts, okay? Because flowcharts translate directly to code, and flowcharts give you a high-level view of what your program is doing and what needs tested, okay? So how do you figure out what needs tested? Well, you need to look at all these diamond guys here. These are the conditional statements, okay? in order to properly test software, you need to make sure that all of these conditional states are tested thoroughly, right? So for this display menu, we need to test this flow, right? And we also need to test this flow. So we need to test the valid selection is no and the valid selection is yes. If we cover these two, we're done with this guy, okay? And so in this case, in our first in kind of our example scenario here, our first test case, we're testing the input menu selection of 1. So that's going to come down here. Is 1 a valid selection? Yes. So it's going to come down here. And here we're asking, do you want to quit? Which is why you basically see the expected output here. If you enter in a 1, the expected output is, do you want to continue with this conversion, yes or no? And that's where this state comes in, okay? But once you hit this state here, that test is complete because you've gone down this path here. So once you've gone down one of these paths, you've tested that conditional statement, and the test is complete. You just need to say, okay, well if this flow occurs, if this yes flow occurs, right, because it's a valid menu selection, what's going to be the next thing that the user should see? And that's this. Okay, so as long as you input the menu selection 1 into the display menu module, and as long as the output comes out as you expect with the currency type of 1, right? Because if we input the menu selection of 1, the currency type should be set to 1. As long as those are the expected outputs, your tests pass, right? Okay, so what are the other tests you need? Well, you need to have a test that tests an invalid selection, right? You need to have a test that tests, can the user quit? And once the user quits, apparently there's something else here that happens and another conditional statement is hit. So you need to test this flow and you need to test this flow. So basically each one of these conditional statements needs at least one test. Some conditional statements need 2 tests. So looking at this diagram here, I can see that I need at least 1, 2, 3, 4 tests, possibly more. Okay, and I'm going to leave that up to you. I mean, you guys have to decide what these test cases are. That's the whole point of this assignment. Okay, but you should be able to look at this flowchart here and kind of see at a high level what needs to be tested. As far as the inputs and the expected outputs, that's basically your variable names, right? That's your variable names and the stuff that's being displayed. So you know, everybody's code is going to be different. Whatever you named your variables in order to create this input, and whatever you named your variables in order to create this output data variable, that's what you want to put in your test case table. This is for the test engineer. So when he looks at this test case table, he knows exactly what needs to be input, and then he knows exactly which variables to look at after that and compare their value to what's expected. And if both of those things match, that test case passes and you're good to go. Okay, so that's just kind of a high-level example for a display menu. What else do you need? You need the getInt module. Where's that? That's right below, right? So here you can see there's 2 conditional statements, right? So you need at least 2 tests for this module. Maybe more. You know, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. For the control flow, well, I'm sorry, for the convert currency, right? Here's the convert currency flow chart, and you guys need at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tests in order to meet all of these conditional requirements, right? And then finally, for the display results, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tests here. No, excuse me, 7 different tests here in order to verify all of these conditions are met. Okay, so that's just kind of how to create test cases. Normally, sometimes you don't have flowcharts, and in those cases you just look at the pseudocode, and basically when you look at the pseudocode you can do a very similar thing. You're just looking for if statements. Whenever you see if statements in the variables, you want to test all of the ifs and the else if statements, okay? So that's that. Okay, so now what about this last currency conversion integration test that's worth 10 points? For that, I want you guys to figure out how would you test the main module, right? And here you can see there's at least one conditional statement that you need to test, but it's kind of testing all of the submodules together. So for the integration test, for your final integration test, kind of think of some inputs that will test the system as a whole, right? And normally these are valid inputs that will test the system as a whole. If you want to try some, you probably at least do one invalid value with your main submodule. But you know what? This guy here is kind of the least of my worries. I need you guys to get these four here, dead on with these flowcharts, and I'm pointing out exactly the conditions that need to be tested here. So there's no surprises. Okay, no surprises. These are all the conditions that need to be tested, and you guys just need to figure out what are the input values that will test these, and then what are the output values once those inputs occur. And once you do that, that's it. That's your assignment. You'll have output that looks like this. You have a text document. You have a Word document that looks like this with all the different test cases within each one of these modules. So email me if you have any questions, or post to this particular thread, and I'll answer them. I'll answer them when I get to them. Good luck to everybody, and I look forward to your submissions.